Hi, this is Helen McMillan and Matthew Gordon Martin from Helen McMillan Coaching, and welcome to another episode of The Breathing Space. Welcome, Matthew.
Hello.
So this month, our theme here at Helen McMillan Coaching is clarity. And we were having a conversation on clarity.
And we wanted to shed some clarity around coaching because we recognize that a lot of people might not have a clear understanding of what coaching is. And this is the thing that we are engaged with day in, day out. And so thought this would be the perfect place to start as we engage with you, our audience.
Yeah, perfect. So let's talk a little bit about what on earth is coaching. A lot of people think they know what coaching is. There's so many different types of coaches and so many areas of coaching. And we specifically deal with life coaching. So what's your perspective on that?
So life coaching on a most basic level is a partnership between the coach and the client. And the client usually engages, we'd say that they come in at 3 different levels, but most people that are new to coaching come in at the foundational level, which is problem solving, or what we call remedial coaching, right? So they come in because they have a specific issue that they'd like resolved. They want a remedy to something that is bothering them or challenging them. And so they seek a coach because they themselves have not been able to figure this thing out by themselves.
Yeah.
And so
it's a kind of
they
crisis
start that
level,
relationship.
right? Crisis. Life has pushed you into seeking the help and maybe frustrated and looking for, usually at that stage, looking for a quick fix.
Yes.
Yes, and very shortly so the first thing we help them to find is relief. That's the first thing that we help them to find. We give them tools and help them to create the shift, which is our signature process, right? The shift, which is a 5-step process to help you shift your emotional state, your mindset, and really getting to a state where you are receptive and open and able to find the solution. And we also help them to really find clarity on what the actual problem is, because that's what's frustrating for so many people, is that what they thought was the problem was actually not the root of the problem, and that's why they haven't been able to resolve it themselves. So tell us a little bit more about stage 2.
So stage 2 is what we call transformational coaching, which is, you recognize that most of our clients recognize, and we help them to recognize, that the root of any problem usually lays within ourselves, that we have the power to create anything, and we have created the challenges in our lives for various different reasons. So transformational coaching is about helping the individual transform their entire life, usually focused on one particular area. We like to focus on the relationship with the self, because what we truly believe and understand is that your relationship with self is the thing that is reflected outside of yourself. So anything that you don't like is usually a reflection of some disparity, some fracturing of how you are treating yourself or think of yourself. So transformational coaching is all about engaging with a coach to gain a different perspective and different approach to living. I think it's definitely a relearning of how to approach yourself and others within your life.
Yes, I agree. And transformation is these are the shifts that create the sustainable change, right? That as opposed to a shift, we always say small shifts add up to big transformations. And so there's a process and a repeatable process, but we have to then embody it and deeply ingrain it in order for it to become a lived experience, which then
And
leads you. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
well, it's really important what you said, sustainable change, because what we find if people keep engaging a coach for remedial coaching, if we don't end up truly dealing with the core issue, then you keep creating issues within your life. And there's not just one singular core issue. Is we find that every single challenge has either one core issue or a culmination of core issues. And the coaching process, because it is a process, and time frame, I wouldn't say less than a year, maybe 2 3 years, but it is about looking at what are the core issues that we are all dealing with, and start unraveling those and unifying or healing, returning to the whole, so that we stop creating issues and start creating the life that we actually want to wake up to every day, which leads us to the third level of coaching.
Yeah, which is inspirational. I call it beyond the box. Living, it's literally, it's very counterculture way of living. Unfortunately, we want to normalize it, of course, but when we're in that inspirational phase of coaching, it's where you're really letting your soul lead, letting your heart lead, and it requires deep levels of self-trust, deep levels of self-awareness, and really at that stage life becomes a game, right? And games are only fun if you're winning. Right? Or you're having fun playing the game. So it is at that stage, it's you've been on the path of personal development for a while. You've done a tremendous amount of self-healing and self-work, and it is literally from inspiration. You're now following your joy. And it becomes so expansive and joyful. And there's always something to work on, right? Because we're always expanding and growing. But at that stage, it's more about refining. It's really
right,
refining.
and tapping into the higher knowing wisdom that exists within us, that we haven't necessarily been taught to tap into.
Right.
And it's about dreaming bigger. It's about constantly creating and thriving, and going from strength to strength to strength, not waiting for issues to arise to then deal with them.
Yeah.
So knowing that, well, who would we say that coaching is for then?
Mm-hmm. I would say coaching is for anyone who is desiring some kind of change. You're frustrated. You've been either you're at the stage where you're frustrated. You're with something in your life, something in a relationship, and you want to create change. You want to create positive change. You want to create sustainable change. And it is for the person who has that inner knowing that there's more. There's something more, and you're curious about that, and there's an alchemy that happens when you connect in a mentoring, in a coaching relationship, or in a group even, right? And where you tap in, and a good coach asks great questions, questions that you haven't thought to ask yourself. Helps you to see things from a different perspective that you didn't have before. One of the things we hear so often is, I never thought about it that way, or I never looked at it that way before, or oh my gosh, I never thought of that. So it is an expansion of your world, of your awareness, and with that, your possibilities. So if you've never been engaged in a coaching relationship, if you've never experienced it, just know this. Anybody that you see out there who is very successful, who is very joyful, has had some kind of mentoring and coaching, whether it's a paid relationship or not. They've had someone who has poured into them. And so if you don't have that in your life, then you can go seek it and find it. And there are so many ranges of types of coaches, and find the right one for you. Interview your coach, interview them, right? Because you're hiring them, right? The way you would interview an employee to work for you or a contractor to do work for you. Look for the qualities, and look, see if they've accomplished what you want, what you're trying to help them get their help with accomplishing. So that's my 5 cents on that. Anything you want to add before we wrap up today, Matt?
No, I would agree. Coaching is for anyone seeking a change, transformation, and inspiration. So,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you for joining us for this conversation today.
Yeah. And if you're interested in finding out more about what we do specifically, how we do it, or having a conversation with us, go to helenmcmillan.com, MACMILLAN, helenmcmillan.com, and apply for a discover session. We offer a 30-minute complimentary discover session. Take care. See you next time.
Bye.